I know the action scenes you guys were saying are a little bit over the top, but there's something about those kind of 90s action macho, scenes that we don't really see that much anymore.
Yeah, I like it.
We do. It's like but it's computer generated and it doesn't seem as real. Whereas a 90s film like Face Off, some of that was computer generated, but it's not as much because the technology wasn't there yet. You know what I mean? And that kind of like,
actual cars were blowing up and stuff.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think with the wire thing that you mentioned earlier too, again, that goes back to a technology thing. Like these guys never anticipated like 4K or 1080p and that kind of stuff, right? And I've seen or heard of like wires being in other action movies that you can actually see now in 4K and you weren't able to see in 1980 or whatever when it was out. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, for sure.
So
yeah, I guess they still use wire fu, of course, but they've gotten like you were kind of saying there, they've gotten way better technology for it to look way cooler. Like in the Matrix, for example, is the first like really popular example of that, I think.
Yeah, and they can. Well, I'm sure they could edit it now if they digitally remastered Face Off, right? Like they have like like a paint version of or Photoshop version of movie or whatever, and they can probably erase it out. But yeah, I still like. Yeah, the action scenes are still kind of. I don't know. There's something about it that's cool. That it's just. Yeah, it's suspenseful, both of them with the guns at their face during the beginning of it, even though you know that they're not going to blow each other's heads off right at the beginning of the movie because they're the two main characters. You're still kind of, I don't know. And Wu has kind of he's got like an artsy way about his cinematography where he moves the camera in a way where it's kind of elegant. And in the 90s at the time, that was kind of like not that, it wasn't that much around. Now we see it all the time, I feel, but now that was kind of like a new thing, for I remember people watching that movie in the theater and like not feeling good because the camera moved so quick in some scenes, right?
Oh yeah, you're right. He kind of like pioneered that style a little bit, and he was known for that. And if you watch the average action movie now, like if you watch John Wick, for example, there's a quick cut like every 5 seconds of him killing a guy and then moving to his perspective and then moving around like so many times. We're like more used to it now, right?
Or it's similar to like Deadpool, but Deadpool is it's different because it stops time. But these shots back and forth and just kind of like all over the place. It was.
There was a lot of slow motion too, right?
Yeah. That was back when that was sort of a newer thing too. Yeah. John
noticing.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, like one of the first times he uses it, when I was noticing, is because he used it in like an extremely over the top way as well. So, like one of the first instances is. Just the names of the characters are weird too. What was his name?
Castor Troy.
Yeah, like an unorthodox name that nobody would be named. Same with his brother. His brother had a weird name too.
I forget what his brother's name is.
Pollock Troy.
Oh, Pollock Troy.
Yeah. But anyway, like Castor Troy's getting out of his car, and then they go into slow motion. And his like trench coat is just like flapping crazily in the wind, and he's like walking like a cool guy. I was like, okay, this is a bit over the top there, because they had to take like wind generators out to the tarmac just to get his trench coat flapping that hard.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay. And then he has this box with like joints and 2 joints. What was it? Mentos?
I don't remember.
Joints. It was like joints, breath mints, and 2 gold-plated pistols.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, yeah. Oh, those pistols were so cool. The like gold-plated Desert Eagles. Those were so awesome.
Yeah, so I was like, okay, this guy's just like way too cool. And then he had like these super like designer glasses on that were probably specially made for the movie.
Yeah.
And he had like this his apparel. Like it's like, man, this terrorist really is into his fashion and his cool guy stuff.